Alright, hello again. I want to be quite quick with this one, so let's hope I can get through it in a relatively quick amount of time. Right, okay, that's the wrong way. So, durus, dura, durum, meaning hard or harsh, adjective. English word durable from this. So, if something's durable, it's like hard, it's tough. Tough is another translation of durus. So, it'll last a long time. So, durus, dura, durum, hard or harsh. Next, dux, ducis, the declension noun, meaning leader. We saw on page 3 that duco, ducere, duxi, which will help. Ductus means lead, so hence the noun that's coming from it is going to be a leader. Next, we've got, and this is the first thing I'll highlight, a preposition, and the said preposition takes the ablative. So, e or ex means from or out of, and what's quite handy. As it says here, it can also be used with a prefix, and the next verb that we see is such a word that effectively is x, so f/x plus a verb. So, as I said, x plus the ablative means from or out of. But remember, as a general rule, ablative with prepositions tends to mean movement away from. Okay, so next, effugia, effugere, effugi means escape. And also at the bottom we have fugia, fugere, fugi, which means run away or flee. The difference between the two is it says it's escape, but you can think of it almost like flee from or flee out of. So that's the from or the out of is the and then the fugia is flee, so flee from or out of, so hence you escape. Next one, ego, me, means I or me. Can I write on this? Probably not very neatly. You should know, because this is a bit, well, it's not weird, but the way this is declined, because it's a pronoun, it's an important one, is ego, me, may, that's the genitive, mihi, ooh, and me again. Okay, so that's your 5 cases. Obviously it's only going to be singular because I is singular. So I, nominative, me, accusative, may, genitive, mihi, dative, and me again is ablative. So it's I or me. Obviously English words to help you with this. Your ego if you're about yourself. Obviously me, very easy there. Okay. Oh, next one. I forgot to say with x. Another example is exit, and if you get exit, it's something that's going out. Exit signs are on the way out. It's a joke. That helps you remember that. Next, aggredior, aggredi, aggressor sum. It doesn't say it here, but this is what's called a deponent verb, and we talked about these briefly in class yesterday. And we'll look at them in more detail soon. Again, this is another example of plus a verb. The verb is technically gradior, but it always changes to grad in these compounds. So it means go out. Gradior kind of means step, but you'll see a lot of verbs have this gradior, gledi, gresso, sum. Basically it's to do with motion, so it can often just be translated go, and is out here. Okay, so gradior, go out. Next, emmer, emere, emi, emptus. Unfortunately there's not a huge amount I can say about this one. It means by. Apparently you met it quite early, so maybe you've met it lots and you remember it, but there's not something you say. Maybe it'll help you to remember it. So if you buy lots of things, it'll be empty. But no, I don't think that'll help. Next, enim means for, as in for he was the bravest man that had ever lived. That sort of for. Next, ere, this is an irregular verb technically. Things I can say about this, as I mentioned with x, the word exit is a compound of and x and the it bit. So exit means go out effectively. So that's what this goes like. I think we looked at this as an irregular verb in the first term. If not, we'll go through it in more detail at some point. But yeah, it declines in a bit of a weird, not declines, conjugates in a bit of a weird way. Next, epistola, epistolae, meaning letter. Words to help you remember this. Epistles, for example, An epistolary culture is a culture that writes lots of letters. Obviously, the epistles were letters. Moving on, equus, equi means horse. Well, it would be glossed. It would appear that if you saw the word for knight in your exam, but don't confuse it. That's equus. So equus, equi is a horse. English words, equine, equestrian, stuff like that helps. Next, et, it just means and, etc. Two Latin words means and the rest. But I'm sure you know that, and it's the same in French as well. Etiam means also or even. Technically, it's a mix of et and yam, so and now, which I guess kind of makes sense with also and even. So, and now is also the kind of same sort of thing, saying also, even. Next, expector, expectare, expectavi, expectatus means wait for. It can also mean expect, hence the English word. Again, it's another compound with ex and spectre. Spectre meaning look at or watch. And I guess, although it's not quite how it works, if you think of it as look out for, then that would help you remember this. But yeah, wait for. If you expect somebody, that's probably because you're waiting for them, for example, to arrive. Next, facilis, facile. This is an adjective, and it's a third declension adjective. What that means is that the facilis, it'll decline like a third declension, and that's for the masculine and feminine, whereas that's for the neuter. Okay. English word facile is basically something that's easy. Also, French facile means easy. Also, we saw on the previous page difficilis, which is actually just a mix of like dis and facilis, and that means like and not easy. Okay, so difficult is something that's not easy. Facilis equals easy. Next, we've got facio, facere, faci, factus. It means make or do. There's not actually a huge amount I can say to help you remember this, but you should already know the word. What I would say is this is a word that comes up a lot in compounds, but often it changes to fic. So, for example, conficio, which you saw on the previous page, I think, or maybe page 2, means complete or wear out. And that's because the con, as well as meaning like together or with as a prefix to a verb, can also mean like completely. So if you do something completely, or you make something complete, you complete it or you finish it, which are meanings of conficio. Next, femina, feminae means woman. Pretty easy one, that. English words such as feminine comes from this. Next, ferro, ferre, tuli, latus. Now this is a very irregular verb that we definitely looked at in a lot of detail in the first half term. Lots of English words related to this, stuff like transfer. So it's like if you carried a cross or you brought a cross to another department, for example. Translate is where you, bring words from one language into another. Lots of words like that. I could probably give you more examples if I can be bothered, but we're running out of time, so I won't bother. But yeah, translate and transfer, for example, there. Again, this is one that can mean lots of compounds, and you saw one in the first page probably, alferro, or then it changes to alferre, abstuli and ablatus, hence the word ablative, and that's to do with taking stuff away or steal. Next, ferox, ferocis is an adjective, again third declension, so the ferox version will be the masculine and feminine, and ferocis will be the neuter, although do bear in mind obviously by the genitive they'll be the same. English word ferocious, here you go, basically looks the same. Comes from this, it also means fierce. Next, festino, festinari, festinawi means hurry. What can I say about this? Well, there's a very old English word, festinate, which effectively means hurry. In medicine, they might use the word festinate as well, and when it's used in that sense, it's like, for example, if your heartbeat is becoming involuntarily faster. I imagine that's probably not going to help you, but it's interesting. Anyway, so festino is hurry. Fidelis, fidele, another third declension one. I've explained this twice now, so I won't explain it again. It means faithful or loyal. English word. Fidelity comes from this, so it kind of makes sense. Fides is a fifth declension noun, I believe, meaning faith. loyalty as well, so that helps. Then we've got, I'm going to do these two together, philia, filii, and filius, filii. You can see how these relate to each other. One's masculine, one's feminine, based on first or second declension, meaning daughter or son. Obviously that makes sense, and you should know it. English words such as filial, affiliate are words related to these. Also, if you get, for example, filii, that can mean children, i.e. it's the plural, and that makes sense as well. Next, flumen, fluminis. This is a neuter noun, so it'd be flumen, flumen, fluminis. Means river. English word flume, hence the first 5 letters, so like a log flume, for example, comes from this. It means river. There are also rivers on places like Jupiter, referred to as flumen, or flumina, I guess, in the plural. Okay, it comes from the verb fluo, which means I flow or I stream. Again, makes sense. Next, forte. This is an adverb. It means by chance. I guess just kind of know it, but the for bit is actually to do with luck, like hence fortune. And then the a is basically like an ablative ending, and adverbs are often look a bit like ablatives. So by fortune, hence by chance. Next, fortis, forte means brave. Okay, make sure you don't mix these up. Things to say French, if the word for kind of means like strong, like say if you were good at Latin, you'd say je suis fort, whatever Latin is in French. English word a fort, as in like fort, like a castle, is a stronghold. So often that this fort can be to do with being strong as well, so hence brave. Next, for and foree, another neuter noun. Again, I don't really need to spend a lot of time on that because it's the same word in English and Latin. Next, flanger, frangere, fregi, fractus. This is where we get the word fracture from, hence it means break. Okay, what I would say about this is that it can also mean lots of compounds. For example, defringo means like to break apart. Next, frater, frateris, a bit like with filius, etc. Well, in a sense, it's a family word. It means brother, but you get fraternal, which is related to a brotherly relationship, for example, whereas filial is like to do with father and daughter or father and son. Next, we have frustra. Okay, what would I say about frustra? I mean, it comes from a Latin verb frustra, which is a deponent verb like aggredio, we saw above, which means to frustrate, like I frustrate, disappoint, fail, and if you fail in something, you do it in vain. So this is another adverb, frustra, meaning in vain. Basically, it's done something that's not completed, it's failed. Next, fugia, fugere, fugi. We talked about this a bit at the top with fugia. So fugia means run away or flee. English words such as, I don't know if I mentioned this at the start, but like fugitive, refuge, etc. are related to this. I need to write on this again for the next one. Gero, gero, gessi, gestus. So when it's to do with clothes, as it says here, it means wear. But when it's to do with war, so the phrase bellum gerere means to wage war. I think it's just not completed it there, but that's when it says wage, that's what it's referring to. So gero, gessi, gestus means wear clothes or wage war, and there's not a huge amount I can say about that. Next, gladius, gladii equals sword. I imagine you know this already. What I would say about this is, what's a gladiator? A person who would carry a sword. Okay, and finally, gravis, grave means heavy or serious. English word grave, so for example, like grave news would be serious news, heavy news. So that also makes sense. Right, I hope this video has been helpful and has made sense. As always, I quite enjoy making these videos, so I hope you listen to it and find it useful. Thank you. Bye.